Welcome back to the Aussie Shed, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of Project Fairlady. So where are we heading today? It's a bit of clean-up work from what we did when we built the templates for this rear diffuser. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and finish off these rear muffler mounts. There are currently no rubber mounts on the rear of the mufflers just because there's no access to it with the bar and everything on there. They're currently being supported by the tailpipe mount, which is enough to hold them in position, but they'll obviously rattle around when the car's moving and all that sort of stuff. And I also want to sort out these rear vents that vent the heat and some of the air that sits above the under tray in the back of the car. I'm going to see what I can do with that, if I can build some sort of ductwork in there to increase the efficiency of those holes in the back there, to possibly cut the rear crash bar and create some ducting and stuff in it. So to do all that, we've got to tear all this apart, get the bar off, and see what we've got to work with. So I'm going to get into that right now. And that's what we're left there with, folks. You can see there are already some holes in this impact spacer that we have on there, this foam impact spacer. Therefore, tail lights in various regions. I know the Australian delivered NA version of the 300zx had some tail lights. I think there was only one though on either side. Don't know what the second one's for. It's possibly from another market, who knows. But you can see they almost completely line up with the cutouts that I've made in the bumper, or the slits that I've made in the bumper. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time now looking at this and maybe cutting some of that foam away, because I know exactly what areas of that I need to cut away, because I marked them through the slots that I made. So I'll have a little bit of a fiddle with this, folks, and when I've got something to look at, we'll be straight back. So that's what we've got there now, guys. So what I'm going to do now is just mark these areas here that we've got, and that's where we're going to start chopping away the aluminium. And I want to do this in a way that doesn't really affect the structural integrity of this bar. So wherever I cut it away, I'm going to re-weld aluminium in and brace it back up. And what I really want to do is create a clearer path as possible from behind here into this area. And you can see it's quite restricted, and by the time the bar wraps around it, there's not a lot feeding into this. So I want to sort of chop away as much as I can, because ideally what we're trying to do is get rid of high pressure air from that rear wheel well and bring it back through in here, and use that to keep the exhaust system cool, and also allow plenty of free flow, because there's going to be air coming in just in front of the differential there. So we want to be able to use that and get that flowing through here as well, and hopefully that'll be directed through this center vent that I'm going to be putting in there. But first things first, we've got to get this area cleared away a little bit so we've got a bit of flow through. So I'll start hooking into that with some tools, guys, and I'll show you what I end up with. Right folks, this is what we've ended up with this bar, or this bar support. You can see I've joined the holes together to make kind of elongated slots on the back to get as much air in as possible on this. I've welded up the ends of the bar to seal it off, you know, with an angled piece that's going to funnel the air towards these guys, you know, and hopefully it should do the business. As you can see, these big slots here line up with this, which is sort of in line with the air that's going to be generated off the rear wheels, plus, you know, the whole thing. It can all sort of move around to where it wants to, hopefully, and yeah, and that'll just sit on there like that. So it should be a good thing. I've re-welded the brackets on the exhaust here now. They're now in a position where I can use them. I've had to shorten them right down. They were sitting sort of up because the exhaust was hanging down and across. You can see from this original mount that I've got sitting on there that this just doesn't work. That's the new spot there where I've got the welded mount on the muffler, and as you can see, it doesn't work with these, which means I've had to make all new mounts that run off the body to that because of the rubber insulator that goes between them and everything. So I've got those on the bench, so let's go and have a look at them and compare them to the old ones. Alright, so here's our two factory mounts here, folks, sitting there. There's the rubber insulators. You have two on each, and these are the mounts that I fabricated out of some aluminium in the correct shape and size to suit the new sort of a setup. They're obviously going to be a little bit lighter than the originals. I just grabbed the kitchen scales here just out of curiosity, really. Not that a small amount like this is you know, anything to brag about, but the fact that I'm adding weight in so many areas with things like the flat floor and other various pieces, anywhere where I can reduce weight is a benefit regardless of how small it is. So our two factory mounts, 380 grams, and the two fabricated ones, 178 grams. So 200 grams, obviously not a huge deal, but better than nothing, folks, better than nothing. So let's go and fit these new mounts onto the car and have a look at them, eh? So that's that one, folks, all fitted up, rubber mounted, very good. And that's the one for that side. Again, does the job, fantastic. The next thing I'm going to do, folks, I'm going to reassemble this whole shebang and just check everything, make sure it all works as I planned it to, and make sure there's no problems with anything interfering with anything else. And we'll have a look and see how that turned out. I'll assemble that off camera, so I'll be back shortly, and it should all be complete. Alrighty. Quick side note, guys. I just blacked all this area out in here. I actually assembled it all and it looked like shit because you could see all of this stuff in through here being aluminium and the white foam and all that sort of stuff. So I've blacked it all out. We'll see what it looks like when I reassemble it, just through the slots that I cut in the bar, you know. Later on, that's obviously going to have some black mesh in behind it and everything, which will obscure this stuff in there a bit, but I think now with it all painted black, you won't even be able to see what's in there. It should all just sort of blend together as a black hole. Alright, I'll get this together again. Right, that's looking pretty reasonable now, folks. I'm quite happy with that. You'll notice you can't see a lot of stuff going on in there, particularly once it's backed with some mesh. You won't be able to see anything at all in there. But I'll grab a light and I'll show you how much access there is to airflow from between the diffuser and the back of the car, you know, the air that would normally be trapped in there. Right, so with the light under there, if we look through here, you can see how we have really good access you know, into this area now. Lots of ways for air to get through. Very happy with that. Another little thing that I have planned to do too, folks, I have to make up a new number plate holder anyway, because not happy with the original one, doesn't really work with what I want. And that gives me an opportunity to make use of this area as well. This part here gives really good access into this area here, you know, which the diffuser is going to be covering up in line with the diff and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mount that goes onto this crash bar, and then I'm actually going to space the number plate out at the bottom. So it's about 3/4 of an inch, 20 mil out at the bottom, and then probably maybe 10 mil at the top. And what that'll do is it will provide quite a big air gap here for air to sort of come through there still and vent out. You know, it'll actually be a really good hidden vent. So like I say, I'll make a mount. It'll be sitting out off there. Number plate will be on it. You won't even be able to tell that it's there, but yet it'll create a really good vent between the number plate and the bar and everything. So that's still to do, and I also need to work out some sort of a setup with a tow hook. I'd like to fit a tow hook on the back of the car. There is originally some tie-down loop things on the back of the car near the mufflers. This actually didn't come with them. They'd already been removed, which you can use as a tow hook for the back, but I want to actually make a proper tow hook for it, so I will need to weld up some sort of bracketry for it and have it possibly coming through the bumper somewhere. I've just got to sort of get my head around that to get that sorted out. But I might just quickly lift the car up a bit more and give you a look through from that way, just so you can kind of have a look at it from that other perspective, just so you can see how that trapped air there can then shoot out through these vents. So that's the back of our rear bar brace there, guys, with all the slots and everything sort of cut in it. You can see how it gives quite good access from under here to be able to vent all this sort of trapped air and help keep air flowing over this exhaust system and everything. So I'm very happy with how that's turned out. So all in all, it is getting there, guys. It is getting there. There's still a little bit of work to do on the back here. As I mentioned, the number plate holder, tow hook, and I still have some work to do on this rear diffuser. Some slight styling changes. There is still a few things I'm not happy with about it. It still looks a little bit clunky for me, which is probably not that big an issue, being the fact that I'm going to paint all that black when it's finished, so you won't really notice it on the car, particularly when the car's on the ground. You can barely see it. But yeah, it's still not right. There's still a few things I'm really not liking about it, but I will get there, guys. I will get there, I promise you that. So that's the end of the video anyway, folks. I hope you're enjoying following along the progress on Project Fairlady. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, as it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. As always, guys, I'll bloody well see you on the next one. Cheers.